Tonight, we're talking about the secret sales strategies that has made a tremendous difference in my wholesaling career. In fact, tonight, I'm just going to share with you the stuff that has really put me over the top. And I'm going to share my 20 years experience doing thousands of transactions, tens of thousands of appointments, the stuff that actually works. Why do I know it works? Because I've got a ton of experience in doing it. And you guys need to implement these strategies. So I'm going to take the first 25 minutes and go through that. And then if you hop on a one-on-one, just wait your turn. There is a link in the top of the comment section. Okay. It says join here. You can click there and just wait patiently your turn. It's a first come, first serve basis. I go as long as I have questions on the stream. If I don't have questions, we kind of end it. So that's the deal. So the only bad question you ask is the one you didn't ask. And that's it. So do me a favor, use the comment sections to introduce yourself. Tell me what market you guys are from. And honestly, when we open up the Q&A on the Mastermind, it's anything you guys want to talk about. So I do the one-on-ones. I'll answer questions in the comments. And that's it. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about the secret sales strategies, my best sales tactics that has made a tremendous difference. And guys, we are talking specifically about wholesaling. Okay. So I'm going to skip through the stuff you guys already know. Okay. Like one of them, you guys are going to say, well, Rick, what about mirroring? We all know mirroring works. I'm not going to talk about that because I'm going to assume it's a given. So a mirroring is when you just duplicate what your seller's doing. I'm going to go into the nitty gritty of the stuff that I see that people make mistakes in every day in wholesaling, and hopefully you can right the ship with them. So let's start with the basics. I tell you what, long weekend, guys. Let's go. Number one. So if we're talking with the seller, and this works if you're virtually doing this or you're doing it in your local market. Okay. One of the biggest ones you guys fail to attack correctly is called name recognition. And all name recognition is using somebody's name and acknowledging them, pronouncing it right, and repeating it over and over and over. I'm here to tell you, you can't use a seller's name enough in a conversation. Let me repeat that. You cannot use the seller's name enough. If you use it 30 times, use it 35, use it 40 times. Why? Here's the truth of the matter is, people love hearing their names. So I'll do a little bit of experiment. I see some people watching online, and if I say Persa, they look up. People love to hear their names, and your nervous system is conditioned when you hear your name, no matter what you're doing, your head snaps up. So knowing that you can get people's attention, you can make them feel special and engage them. And here's the best part about name recognition. It tells you if your client, your seller, whatever you want to call them, is paying attention to your spiel. So if I use the seller's name and they don't even look up and acknowledge him, something else is on their mind. And I know I have to stop whatever I'm doing right there and get their focus back. And I will use their name loudly and proudly and draw them back in. So name recognition will do wonders to any conversation you do. If you don't believe me, start with a child. You ever notice when a parent or an adult is around a child, they use the child's name endlessly. Why? Because that's the only way you can keep the kids focused. So since I'm a self-proclaimed ADHD violator, I constantly get used on this by my wife, my kids, my son, and it gets my attention and draws me back in. So guys, name recognition, I'm telling you right now, if you use a seller's name 50 times in a conversation, you could still use it more. You can never overuse someone's name. The only time this backfires if you mispronounce the name. And if you're not sure about the name, just ask permission. Hey, Mr. Seller, how do I pronounce your name? I don't want to butcher it. And just ask. Once you get it, burn it in your brain and keep going with it. Now, this works equally effective on the phone as it does in person. It is everything. People are so tuned into your name. I'm telling you, I do this experiment on a daily basis. Use people's names and watch what happens. You can take this a little bit further. Next time you go to the cashier at the grocery store, usually the cashiers, well, in my town, they have their name tag on it. Use their name. Watch how many more smiles you get, the better service you get. People freaking love it. And here's the really cool part. It doesn't cost you any more money, and it actually is going to get you a better wholesale deal. So I would definitely jump on it and use it. I forgot to put it up there. Name recognition. Man, I'm telling you, if you just took this method out of this conversation today, it will change your wholesaling game. I'm telling you, we do not use the sellers' names enough. And for that reason, people don't feel like they're connected to you and you want to use it. It is a great skill. So many techniques and name recognition. You can go from there. So while we're going to it, dealing with sales secrets, you've got to use the 80-20 rule. And this, I'm going to be honest with you, is going to take some practice on your side. See, because here's the key. You are the 20. You are the 20. You're not the 80. Okay. And what do I mean by that? When you're having a conversation with someone, you should only doing 20% of the talking. And your 20% of the talking is based on qualifying questions and rapport building. That's it. You cannot go off on tangents and dominate the conversation. How do you know when it's not going well? When you think you're talking too much, you've got a problem. See, when you go see a seller, the name of the game is to get as much intel from your seller and the property as humanly possible. If you talk and dominate the conversation, you can't get that information, and you are going to get killed in wholesaling if you do not follow this rule. Now, I'll be honest, when I first started out, I was like a 60-40 kind of guy. I was the 60, and it probably took me about 6 months to a year to adjust it. And then eventually I went 70-30, and then I go to 80-20. Okay. And now I'm pouring like 85-15. The more you can let your sellers talk and tell you what's going on, the more qualifying information you get, and the better the deal you can put forward. The better your rapport will be, and probably most likely the better the deal you're going to get. So God gave us 2 ears, 1 mouth. We have to take the cues, what God already gave us, and not reinvent the wheel here. If you find yourself talking too much, I want you to slow down, ask open-ended questions to your sellers, and go on pause for like 5 or 10 minutes. And remember, you are there for your seller. You're there to solve a problem with their needs. You already know what you want to do. So the purpose of doing your virtual appointment, your physical appointment, is to draw as much information from your seller as possible. You can't do it if you're running your mouth the entire time. And number 2, a lot of times when you just start out, this is just the truth, don't shoot me, I'm just the messenger, is because you're nervous and you're new to this business, you tend to over talk. And you think that's helping you, and inside it's like mentally helping you out, but it's screwing the deal up. So shut your mouth, 2 ears, 1 mouth. If you use this 80-20 rule, it will be a lifesaver to your closing ratio. Watch what happens. It's unbelievable. And the funny thing, you go, well, Rick, what if I'm not talking and they're not talking? Your job is to get them talking. But honestly, I'd rather have wild, awkward silence than me running my yap the entire time. The more silent, sometimes you make the conversation, a lot of times you can pull out the motivation a little bit easier. Okay. So stop trying to constantly fish for the motivation. Let your sellers talk, and you'll be shocked. Of the 4 qualifying questions we go through, they'll probably spit out 80% of it before you even ask in a regular conversation. So we talk about scripts to conversation, which I'm not putting into this one, which is a given. 80-20, guys, it's huge. Okay. My third one, which I know this is obvious, but it's often overlooked, especially in today's world. Authenticity, meaning like be yourself, be a human being. Don't be like this Tom Cruise, like robot salesperson. People, it's just not normal. Everyone's got something going on in their life, including you and me. And our sellers are no different. Don't seem so perfect that you scare the heck out of your sellers. Be a normal person. I'm not telling you to go tell them your problems. I'm just telling them it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to occasionally cough. I know that's like people freaking out with that stuff these days. It's just, you need to be you. So I don't want you to be me. I don't want you to be Zach. Everybody has some sort of superpower God gave them to, and I want you to find out what it is and bring it to light and help people out. So if you're super funny, if you're really good at charisma, if you're really good at like talking, connecting to people, like do what you do best. If you're a nurturer, wholesaling is perfect for you in that. So the thing is, so many of us are now trying to duplicate other people in this business And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't work. The minute you can get comfortable in your skin and like working with people, your job becomes much easier. I tried for like a long time to be other people, like to try to teach me the business. And I learned I just did better when I was myself. So if you guys just accept that, you are unique. There's nobody else like you. So amplify it, don't mute it, and do the right thing and help your sellers out. And stop. If you spend your entire time trying to be somebody else, you're not really going to help your seller out. So being authentic, we've been through such a period over the last 20 years where everyone just seems so fake on the internet and like, I'm perfect on this. Just guys, pull up, be normal. You don't have to have perfectly dressed hair. You don't have to have the perfect car. Honestly, I never wear a suit. I wear shorts. I wear flip-flops quite commonly. And that's just who I am. And once I accepted it, I never worried about it again. So being authentic and being your real self is something that will more than show up to your sellers, and it will make you so much more effective with them. Okay, let's bring up our next one. Conditioning the seller. Probably, I mean, this is critical. If you don't get this part down, you are so far behind the 8 ball. So conditioning the seller is basically having a conversation with your seller before you get in any type of sales process, before you even get into the rapport building or anything. So you can do this on the phone virtually, or you can do this physically on your appointment. So once you've decided to move forward with the property, meaning it's in your ballpark and you just got to verify the condition and some numbers. When I go to the property, this is simply how I do it. And this is a technique I came up with. And then I taught all my acquisitions people to do it. So we call it the conditioning of the seller. So it simply says, Mr. Seller, I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today. Thank you so much. We're going to take about an hour, and I'm going to be able to look through the house, and you're going to show me around, and I'll get to know a lot more about your house, and I'll also get to know you in the process. And by the time we're all done, I'll have plenty of information, and I want to help you out to the best of my ability. But at the end of the conversation, you'll be put in a position to say, hey, listen, Rick, I really like you. Yes, I want to move forward. I want to work with you. It's 100% yes. Or Rick, I didn't like what you presented. I don't like what you're saying, and it's a no, and I can't do it at this time. But either way, you'll have a decision to make, yes or no. Can I get your commitment that I can get that definitive answer from you at the end of this conversation? And just shut up and look them in the eye, and they've got to say yes or no. If they don't say yes or no, go right back through the preconditioning. Okay. What you're trying to do is preset up to where if you get stuck in the maybe zone, or what I call the friend zone, that you can rely on these statements to push them to give you an answer. I have found with sellers, if you do not do the preconditioning, more than half the time, probably closer to 60 to 70%, you're going to wind up in the maybe zone, the let me think about it zone, also AKA the friend zone. You don't want to be there. So a preemptive strike with every seller you deal with, if you do the preconditioning, say, listen, at the end of the conversation, you have a decision, say, yes, I want to work with Rick, or no, I want to move on. It doesn't work for me. I'm fine with either answer. I just need a definitive answer. Can we agree on that? And just look at them and make sure you get a solid head shake or a yes or a no. Okay. By setting up that conversation, when you get to the end of your presentation and they go, I don't know, Rick, I got to think about it. That's when I go, hey, Jim, remember, before I sat down and met with you, I believe we struck an agreement, right? You said you would make a decision. Yes, you want to work with me, or no, you would move on. Okay. I don't know how to deal with a maybe. A maybe is pretty much a solid no to me. And what questions can I help you over? What's bothering you to not make you make a decision to move forward, or simply say no? And then I want to go back and find the problems where what they're struggling with it. Maybe it could be price. It could be the length of time. It could be the deposit. It could be a number of things. But without that preconditioning statement, it's torture, guys. It's torture. And for years and years, I kept getting caught in the maybe in the friend zone. And I just decided I can't take it anymore. So we tried probably 10 different variations, and we came up with the yes or no one. I'm telling you, it pretty much wipes it out. You still get a few, But if you do not do the preemptive strike on the conditioning, you will be stuck more than half the time, probably 60% of the time. So some people do need time to make a decision. The preconditioning just allows you to hopefully walk out with a definitive yes or no. And then if they go in the maybe zone, then you're going to force them to pinpoint what the problem is. And without that statement, you can't do it. So guys, you got to make sure you do that. Okay, the next one, the Volley Method. And you guys have heard this one before. So when we talk about the Volley Method, this is something I've worked with for a long time. And it took me about 2.5 years to figure this one out. And this is when your seller just gets completely stuck and they will not give you an answer on price or, and they just keep saying, well, so obviously we always want to ask our sellers, you know, what do you need to get out of this property? When they can't give us a number, we got a choice. You can just sit there, you can write a contract. Like, what do you do? So what I do is use the Volley Method. And for those of you that are brand new to sales and especially working with wholesaling, if you're ever struggling with words to talk to a seller, especially countering back, 9 times out of 10, all you have to do is repeat what they said to you and ask it back to them. It's crazy, but it's better than sitting there going, but. So when he says, Rick, how much are you asking? Say, Rick, how much are you going to offer me? Mr. Seller, you know what? That's a great question. How much I'm offering you is a question I get quite a bit. And let me ask you something real quick, and I'm going to fire back to him. So here we get to the Volley Method. Okay. So you guys all know how think about volleyball. You got to serve it back and forth over the net. So when they serve it, so when we ask the question, hey, Mr. Seller, what do you need to get for this property? We serve it over there. The ball comes in. You're expecting them to give you an answer and volley it back. Well, what they do is they just punch the ball back to you and they go, I don't know. I don't know. You're the one who reached out to me. What do you think it's worth? Okay. Now remember, I want the answer from the seller. So here's simply what I'm going to do. Mr. Seller, I know you don't know exactly what it's worth, but if you had to guess, what do you think you need to get for that property? All I did was repeat the same question back and just added a few words on it. And if you keep doing this over and over, after 2 objections, most sellers will give up. Okay. The average American, I'm talking about our American culture. I'm sure it's different in other countries. Most people give up after 2 objections. So a lot of times they'll say no the first time, and then the second one they'll fight it, and that's it. Okay. Most people do not want to put up overcoming objection at least twice. So you've got to stay in the volleyball game for at least 2 serves. So the first one is, Mr. Seller, what do you need to get for this property? Rick, I don't know. Mr. Seller, I know you don't know exactly what you need to get, but if you had to guess, what do you think you need to get? And then they might serve it back again. You ready for this? You've got to go back. You're playing volleyball. Serve it back. Mr. Seller, I get it. I get it. I know you're not a real estate agent. I know you're not a real estate investor, but you are a homeowner with a lot of pride in this house. So I won't nail you down to an exact price, but if you had to guess, just ballpark, what's the number you and your wife need to get on this property? Okay. That's basically 3. Okay. I served it. He kicked it back. I served again. He kicked it back. Okay. You have to overcome the ejection twice, and do not worry about repeating the question back to him. It buys you time to talk to your clients. It's so much better than just sitting there going, just slowly repeat back the words, and it'll allow you to think about your head, because you don't have to think about the words because they said them. You're just repeating them back. So instead of sitting there for 5 or 10 seconds, like not knowing what to say, just slowly repeat the question back to them and then add your tailing information on that. Guys, if you'll volley people at least twice, you'll get a lot more contracts, a lot more. Most people don't know how to get through this part. Remember, whatever you serve, if I ask you a price and I don't get a price back, you got to serve it back until you get a number. Okay. Now, I'm warning you, you can wear people out doing this a lot. So be very careful you do it with your wife, your girlfriend, your husband. Kids, man, they can volley. I'm going to warn you, with kids, they can volley like 30, 40 times. So it doesn't work as well on kids. But sellers, I'm telling you, when you learn the Volley method, it induces an answer out of your sellers, even when they don't want to get it. Okay. Every now and then they'll throw up their hands and get frustrated with you, but 2 volleys and you are in the game on this one. Once I figured out how to do this, I got to tell you, man, I never feared someone like giving me a lame duck answer. Okay. Last one. You ready? Act in the seller's interest, not yours. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, if you think like this as a wholesaler, you'll do so much better. So many wholesalers come out and they just want to discuss what is best for them in this transaction. And if you'll go into dealing with sellers thinking, what is in the seller's best interest, not yours? Let me give you a perfect example. Okay. A lot of times we'll have some properties. I mean, the property's perfect. It's retail. We just throw it out. Why don't you just list the house with a realtor? Like, why am I going to hide that? It's coming out anyways, right? We're not stupid. Okay. Maybe it is in their best interest to have it listed with a realtor. Maybe they have a horror story they want to tell you with a realtor. I'd rather just pull it out now and get it done. Maybe you see a perfect house and you go, well, you know what? You won't take my price, but like maybe we can do a novation. Well, is the novation for you or for the seller? Because they didn't know that idea until you brought it out to them. All I'm saying is, if you look out for your seller's interest first, your interest will be far exceeded in the long run. If you go into this, how can I manipulate this to make me the best wholesaler? You're going to get pissed off sellers. You're going to get people upset. You're going to get people backing out of contract, and it gets ugly. Okay. I see a lot of bad wholesalers out there. It's all about manipulation. Hey, I learned this latest new strategy. Let me show my seller. Guys, just cut the crap out. Act in your seller's best interest, and you will get exactly what you want. You might not get in this transaction, but over the span of a year, you'll get exactly what you want. Over your entire career, you'll get it. So many wholesalers going like, how can I get the best price for me? I don't care about the seller. You got to care about the seller. Otherwise, you're not going to get good deals. Stop trying to shove sellers in a box so you can maximize your portfolio, so you can maximize your returns. I'm here to tell you, listen what your seller does. If they want to list the property, help them do it. If your company can't do it, refer them to somebody that can help you out. It's good karma. You'll still get paid for it. You'll get a referral fee. And it's the right thing to do. We deal with so many sellers that you just trying to trick them into buying their house is going to blow up on you in the long run. And I'm here to tell you, look out for your seller's interest, not yours. And it will change how you think about this game. So I got to drink water, dude. Coffee keep me up all night. So guys, that's it. Those strategies I just shared with you are the stuff that you will not find in any detailed sales plans, because they are the stuff that took me 20 years to put me over the entire top. And I'm telling you, if you just use a lot of those strategies, you'll be blown away on how it works. They're really minor, but I'm telling you, they are like a sharp surgeon's tool when you are on a sales call for wholesaling specifically. And guys, like, think about the name, the 80-20, the Volley, doing what's best for your sellers. Stuff like this will lead you to the right journey. And remember, you're not going to get every deal, but it works to the core.